One of the long-term signals for Bitcoin has actually just fired off a potential buy signal that can be confirmed as soon as tonight. Long-term, historically, this has been a pretty consistent signature of the past 15, or the full history of Bitcoin. There's been 15 of these signals, and 13 of those have played out in a pretty impressive fashion, dare I say. So other than that, I want to welcome you back to the Krown Crypto channel. It's a nice little Sunday morning over here, and I think we'll just jump right into this one, get to the content of the day, because I know that, well, things are busy, aren't they, right? Bitcoin's been going sideways for quite some time now. But what are we talking about? We're talking about the hash ribbons indicator in this pane right here. This indicator has had 15 prior iterations throughout the full history of Bitcoin. It is a measurement of the miner's essentially profitability. There's two major components that you need to be aware of it with. That is one, the capitulation phase, for example, right here, which is then followed by the blue buy signal over here. And throughout the full history of Bitcoin, like I said, there's been 15 of these, and 13 of the 15 have essentially marked off that the prior low to that signal being printed was the low before Bitcoin never closed below there ever again, ever. Ever. at least so far. I mean, I guess it could be that Bitcoin does completely shit the bed, come all the way back down to $100, and then this relationship would be completely wrecked. But let's go through the data here, and then I'll kind of hand it off to you. Again, I just want to be presenting things, and you can obviously make whatever deductions that you want from that, and we'll just go through it. So what essentially is a relationship that I'm speaking about? Well, I think the best way to analysize this is to go back. Let's start off over here. Actually, let me just make sure that that's in view. Yes, indeed it is. And we could see that coming off of 2012. For example, there's a blue buy signal printed right here, and in that case, you can see that the prior low on this time frame, the weekly, was, well, the low before never getting tested again. I mean, Bitcoin never closed below about $5 ever again since that was printed, and so on and so forth. Now, I do want to address one thing before I go further into it, just as I remember it now. I'm sure that there will be some people out there who are looking at this and going to say, Krown, there's signals on the daily that don't work out that well. Well, yeah, no shit, because it's a daily, and you should be using this on a weekly. Generally speaking, the weekly, being a higher term time frame, is going to have higher efficacy in terms of its signatures. Anyways, this one is then followed by another blue buy signal coming off of the capitulation phase over here in February of 2013. Again, prior weekly low in this case, right around here. I mean, this one was never even tested close to again. So we have to go much further in time before we get to a little bit more of a nuanced example right here. But I think that this is a great illustration nonetheless. In this case, we can see another blue buy signal printed right here. Where was the prior low before that? That would be right here. And again, this one does get tested on a wick basis. That is okay. There's no problem with that, but no closures below. And you can even see that the next blue buy signal, again, before this low right here, again, no closures below that ever again. Yes, there's wick lows below, that's fine, but no closures below. And there's another one followed about a month and a half later right here. And again, this low, ever so slightly higher actually. So what are we comparing? This low would be 211. This low over here would be 219.70. This low over here, 223 and a quarter, essentially. So, you know, it's not like by a whole hell of a lot, but it is certainly relevant nonetheless that they are, you know, all higher lows on a closing basis again. Again, moving onwards and forwards from here, another blue buy signal right here. Where's your last low? Boom, right here, upwards and onwards from there. Very, very lovely. Then we have to go all the way to 2019, coming off of the prior macro cycle lows. Here's your blue buy signal. Here's your low. Bitcoin never closed below there ever again. Again, you can kind of just follow this line the whole way up. Then we get to our first example where this relationship did not hold true. So it is not 100% efficacy, as I suspect nothing is. Again, this was also, you know, kind of during a time of, you might even say black swan events. Low probability, but it's a non-zero probability. So in this case, blue buy signal was printed, obviously closed well below that, in March of 2020. So coming off the Rona dump, obviously. But even then, the blue buy signal that came after that one, preceded that one, was just upwards and onwards again. Same thing over here. Same thing over here, and then we get our next failure. This was in August of 2021. Blue buy signal was printed right here. Boom, nice move to the upside to new all-time highs actually, but after that, yeah, things did come down, and they came down hard. Now, again, you might even say that this was, and technically speaking on the weekly, this would be your prior low, even though this one just kind of, zoomed upwards and onwards from there. But, you could say, some people might say that this price action over here below about $30,000 starting in last year, May of 2022, maybe that was due to FTX. Maybe you consider another black swan. I don't really know what to make of that. I would just call this one a failure. But fair enough. I mean, this one technically, did definitely fail. So out of 15 signals, 13 were, played in this fashion. 2 of them did not. Then we go to our most recent one. This was one of the key things that we were looking for to call the macro cycle lows, amongst many other things as well, coming off of the lows right here in January, marking that $16,500 number as the low. And then what do you know? There's another one printing potentially as soon as today. So assuming that Bitcoin closes here or higher, just anywhere above $29,000, I suspect, that will hold true. And what does that mean? Well, if we're going off of history, it means that there's a good likelihood that where's your prior weekly low? Well, right now, the prior weekly low is obviously over here, which is about $26,000 is probably going to be the low. Again, doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't come down like this and, put in a higher low, something like that. Or maybe it puts in a low right here. Definitely possible as well, but it's not quite in the cards just yet, as, quite literally can't be. But it would imply that if Bitcoin does confirm a local low here in August of 2023, which essentially would be had by basically just trading above the high of this current week, on a wick basis, which is 30,226 on the index, especially with the daily closure, above like 30,000 above that level is what would probably do it for me. Then that would confirm this as very, very likely the low. And well, if we're going to go off the prior relationship, then we wouldn't expect anything lower than about $29,000 again on a closing basis. If Bitcoin does not take out this week's high, thus confirming this as a local low, then it could be very possible that we do see a pullback in the more near term, somewhere closer down towards $27,000. Again, just don't want to see this condition violated over here, which officially is 26,300 on a closing basis. So, one of those two things, very likely does hold true, or at least statistically speaking, and I'll let you kind of make whatever deductions that you want from that. Anyways, I'll just move through some of the other stuff in this particular analysis. I don't want to carry on for longer than what's really necessary on this particular video. I want this one to be nice and digestible. But looking at the 4-hour HPDR ranges here, it's more or less the same. I think the 12-hour actually gets it a little bit better in this case, showing the downside of the current range at about 28,500. If we go to the 4-hour, I think it's more like 28.8. So, in the short term, do I think that Bitcoin can still come back down and put a wick somewhere around 29,000 or a little bit below 20,000? Yeah, definitely possible. Certainly possible right there. But as long as Bitcoin's above basically last week's wick low, can start to look at this as potentially putting in a low right here. Again, confirmed if Bitcoin could trade back above this week's high. Until then, it's more of the same probably. We can also go check out stochastic momentum. I do want to point out that the weekly is still positioned to the downside, assuming that Bitcoin does close below 30,600 today. 5-day time frame is also be showing downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below $30,000. Also closing today, I should add. 2-day time frame is actually going to be up and vertical here above 28.9. Daily time frame is going to also be turning down today below 29,600 on a closing basis. 12-hour time frame is also going to be down below, assuming that Bitcoin closed below 29,450. Right now, trading about $60 below that current pivot. 6-hour time frame also going to be showing upside above 29,300. Not very helpful there. 4-hour time frame also going to be showing upside above 29,350, and hourly time frame going to be showing downside below 29.4. I don't really trust these things too much right now, to be fair with you. I think Bitcoin could very easily have another move back down somewhere around 29, maybe a little bit below there. But the real question is, does Bitcoin actually break this past week's low? If it fails to, then at that point, it's going to start to look like this might very well be the next major low here. So I thought that was interesting. Hopefully that was in some way helpful. I'll be signing off on that note. As always, want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully Monday.